Let's start. Be the change, transforming a gender-sensitive and safe environment. A pleasant day, everyone. I will now begin the webinar, and let's start the webinar with a brief prayer. Let us all feel the presence of the Lord. Followed by the singing of our Philippine national anthem. And let us now proceed with the FEU hymn.
FEU Vision and Mission. Vision, guided by the core values of fortitude, excellence, and uprightness, Far Eastern University aims to be a university of choice in Asia. FEU Mission. Far Eastern University provides quality higher education through industry and responsive outcomes-based curricular programs. FEU produces globally competitive graduates who exhibit the core values of fortitude, excellence, and uprightness. FEU promotes sustainable and responsive research extension, heritage and environment stewardship towards nations and global development.
So, we are your two keynote speakers for today. I am Colleen Trin. Wait lang.
Here you go.
So we are your two keynote speakers for today, and I am Colleen Trinidad. I am 19 years old and I live in Marikina City. I am currently studying BS Psychology in FEU Manila.
I am Josephine Margaret Vicentuan. You can call me Greta. I am 21 years old. I live in Antipolo City and I am studying BS Psychology in FEU Manila.
So our topic is all about Be the Change, transforming a gender sensitive and safe learning environment. And if anyone has concerns or questions regarding the presentation, you can put them at the message box below, or you can use the raise hand feature in the MS Teams. Thank you. And please make sure to stick around till the end because this is gonna be a very meaningful uh, webinar. Again, thank you. And before we start the webinar, we have few general rules and agreement. And so the first one is upon entering the meeting room, please make sure to turn off your video and mute your mic unless we ask you to turn on your mic. And number two is if you have questions, again, you may enter your questions in the chat panel. And number three, please observe proper etiquette throughout the webinar. Please be respectful towards the speakers. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so we have some icebreakers. I have here the list of gender description or also called gender descriptors. I will flash some words na kung anong gender na magde-describe ito. Okay, so number one, likes pink. Is it a male or a female description? Like, sino ba yung usually na may gusto ng color pink? Girls, di ba? And number two, handsome. It's for boys. Wears makeup. It's for girls. Loves animals. Girls, miss and boys. Never cries. Boys. Better at making decisions. Of course, boys. Good leadership. Boys. More emotional is girls. Better at keeping the house clean are girls again. And more caring girls again. So, lahat ng words na nasa list, pumapasok yan sa stereotyping. Next slide. So, what is stereotyping? Stereotyping is a generalized belief about a particular category of people. It is an expectation that people might have about every person of a particular group. Next slide.
Okay. Gender and sex. What's the difference? Let me explain to you the difference between gender and sex. So, for example, when we go to the guidance office, we are often asked to fill up cognitive records or profile. Usually, we're gonna encounter a question asking about our gender or sex. So, let me ask you this. Is gender and sex the same? So, to clarify, um, what is sex? In order for us to understand what gender and sex is, let us first talk about sex. Um, Sex, it is assigned at birth based on our physiological characteristics. Kumbaga, ito yung kung ano ka biologically and at birth. While gender, on the other hand, this is how you identify yourself. People either identify their gender as transgender, binary, non-binary, or gender neutral. And did you know that at the age of 3 years old, dun pa lang nag-i-start ang bata na mabuo, matuklasan, or ma-discover na siya ay either babae or lalaki? Now let's talk about gender roles. What is gender roles? Um, Gender roles in society means how we're expected to act, speak, dress, and conduct ourselves based upon our assigned sex. For example, girls and women are generally expected to dress in typically feminine ways. So, example of dressing in a typically feminine ways, women are expected to uh, wear dress, something like that, wear makeup, something like that. And we are, as women and girls, are expected to be polite, accommodating, and nurturing. But gender roles, it can be changed in some society over time. So, for example of gender roles, we are usually taught about gender roles when we're a kid. Example, like girls should play with dolls and boys should play with trucks. Another example is boys should be directed to like blue and green, while girls, on the other hand, should like the color red and pink. Another example here is boys should not wear dresses or other clothes typically associated with girls' clothes.
Gender sensitivity. Uh, Gender sensitivity is the process of making people aware of how their behavior of others affects how gender plays a role in their lives. Gender sensitivity trainings help develop a greater understanding of how to be sensitive to gender issues in their lives. For example ng gender sensitivity is yung nung elementary tayo, 'di ba? Ang kadalasan nilalagay sa blackboard or whiteboard na noisy is usually boys kasi sila talaga yung lagi may ingay, and ang mga babae yung mga tahimik, nakaupo lang sa gilid hanggang uwian yon. So, that's where gender sensitivity starts. Gender equality is equal treatment in our gender.
Okay? So now let's talk about gender expression. What is gender expression? Gender expression. It refers to how you choose to display your gender identity through your name, pronouns, dress, hairstyle, behavior, voice, or physical characteristics. Excuse me, sorry. It regarding gender expression, it is important to also note that these expressions are influenced by societal roles and cultural stereotypes, which means that they are not static and it can be shift or change over time. Some people may identify strongly with a particular gender, while others may have more neutral or mixed feelings about it. And a person's internal sense of gender identity may also not match their external gender expression. A person who was assigned female at birth may identify as male but continue to express their gender through what are stereotypically considered feminine traits, behaviors, and roles. So, in the PowerPoint, it is stated that gender expression refers to how you choose to display your gender identity. And in the picture, you can see that some people now, it is good that many people recognize how to gender us properly based on what we prefer. Uh, they can call us she, her, he, him, they, them, he, him, uh, they, them, she, her, based on what we choose. And another example of gender expression is a drag queen. We know what a drag queen is, right? Uh, they're like they're like a makeup artist that wears heavy makeups. Usually there are guys. Uh, who So a drag queen is an example of the ways that gender expression can be different from our biological sex. A man might dress up in a wig, high heels, and heavy makeup, displaying characteristics we typically associate with women. The examples of how to establish a gender-sensitive learning environment. Government-wise, governments are responsible for the enforcement of the right to education and for non-discrimination learning environment. So the government, uh, it's like they must consider the gender implications of how they allocate resources and make school leadership appointments. Government need to ensure curricula and textbooks are free from gender bias. Teacher training programs and address gender issues and school facilities respond to girls or boys' needs. Number two, school-wise, schools are responsible for ensuring safe and inclusive learning environments. Uh, School must be able to provide us an inclusive learning environments free from school-related gender-based violence and unfair student treatment. And number three, teachers. Teachers are responsible for inclusive instructional practices and for disciplinary approaches, as well as for promoting active discussions on gender issues. So, let's say, as long as the curriculum, textbook, and their preparation allow them to do so. And number four, parents. Parents are responsible for ensuring their children have equal opportunity to attend school and responsible that to make sure that their children attend school and to provide them equal support and encouragement regardless of their child's gender. And number five, all of us. All of us as a community members or professionals, we are all responsible for monitoring government, schools, and teachers to challenge stereotypes and ensure discrimination is not tolerated.
Uh, how to how a school setting be a gender sensitive learning environment. Schools should be treated with equal respect, refraining from discrimination, and of course, our gender sensitivity language should be neutral or fair to every student inside the school. Uh, school should be treated School should be treated with equal respect, like dapat pantay-pantay yung mga pinagsasabi natin sa ibang tao kasi pantay-pantay tayo lahat sa school, pare-parehas tayo estudyante, and dapat walang discrimination na mangyayari. It should be neutral and fair nga. How teachers can help promoting gender-sensitive learning environment. Teachers should make remarks about capabilities of or characteristics that are gender sensitive. They need to have knowledge on how to promote gender equality. Yun nga, yung mga teachers, kailangan aware sila kung ano yung mga gender ng mga students nila para hindi mahiya yung mga students kung ano pa talaga sila. And next slide. An ideal classroom. A gender-sensitive and safe learning environment would include a classroom wherein gender equality is practiced. It should be address and call call on girls and boys equally. Do not segregate them. Huwag natin sila paghiwalayin na dapat ang girls lagi kasama ang girls and boys, dapat boys. Hindi dapat ganon. And make mixes groups for group activities and games. So, pag may mga activities sa loob ng room, dapat dapat hindi tayo nagkakaroon ng paghihiwalay nga tulad ng sinabi ko kanina. And try to switch role for breaking down gender barriers and stereotyping of gender roles. Kunwari, ang may role play sila tapos ang queen gusto maging yung queen dapat babae. Pwede din maging lalaki 'yon kasi 'di ba LGBT. Make both boys and girls share activities like cleaning, moving furniture to the chalkboard during a lesson. Pwede din magbuhat yung mga girls, hindi lang dapat hindi dapat lagi sila nag-erase ng boards, kahit nila magbuhat ng chairs, tables, and kahit ano pang iba na kaya din ng boys. Next slide.
Wait lang.
Go.
Pucha, nag-lag ka. Wait.
Okay na?
Oo.
How to promote a gender sensitivity and safe learning environment. Number 1, gender identity in regardless of dreams should not be an hindrance. Respect is a very important aspect in a safe learning environment. Respect differences of gender and all parts of the gender identity. Wait, naglalag. Dun sa bullet number 1, ang example ko dun is yung ang babae noon, sinasabi nila na wag na daw mag-aral kasi in the end sila magsi-stay lang naman daw sila sa bahay. So ang kailangan daw mag-aral yung lalaki kasi sila daw yung magtatrabaho in the future. And in bullet number 2, respect is a very important aspect in a safe learning environment. We should respect each other people. That is why respect is very important in a safe learning environment kasi kung walang respeto sa isa't isa, mas magiging magulo ang isang place, lalo na sa school, kung lagi nagtitipon-tipon yung mga students na nag-grow, sabay-sabay nag-grow. And respect differences of gender. In that context, gender sensitivity is about being considerate of the opposite gender's feeling. The reason this is important is because men and women think differently, and of course, we have different perspectives. Next slide.
So, sorry. Hello? Okay, narinig na?
Sa akin ba yung gender bias o sa nila?
Gender bias.
Yung example.
Akin yung example.
Okay. Akin yung ways to avoid.
Okay, okay na yun. Okay, now let's tackle about gender mainstreaming. Gender mainstreaming as the strategy, major global strategy for ensuring that the government pursues gender equality in all aspects of the development process. And also the goal of gender mainstreaming is to look more comprehensively at the relationship between examples of policies, programs, and projects. Women and men obviously have different needs and living conditions and circumstances, including unequal access to control over power, resources, human rights, and institutions, including the justice system. Uh, the situation of women and men also differ according to country, region, age, ethnic or social origin, or other factors. The aim of gender mainstreaming is to take into account these differences when designing, implementing, and evaluating policies, programs, and projects so that they benefit both men and women and do not increase inequality, but instead, it enhances gender equality. So, gender mainstreaming aims to solve and sometimes uh, hidden gender inequalities. It is therefore a tool for achieving gender equality. But does it connect? How does gender mainstreaming connects to gender equality? So, um, gender equality issues need to be mainstreamed at all stages of policy making or project programming. But it is especially important to take it into account at the planning stage when the problems, concerns, and needs of the beneficiaries are identified and the ways to address them are defined. Therefore, gender analysis and gender impact assessment are crucial tools for gender mainstreaming. These tools support the practical implementation of gender mainstreaming. Um, Other factors are equally important to ensure proper gender mainstreaming, such as political will, commitment, and awareness of gender equality issues, knowledge resources, and that includes expertise and availability of information. Uh, Again, gender mainstreaming is a responsibility of all factors and it is relevant for all policy areas that deals with the needs of people and at all levels. Policy areas which at first sight do not seem relevant and might contain hidden aspect of gender inequality. Oh, sorry.
I What is gender development? Gender-led development is development system that recognizes the different roles, interests, and needs of all gender. Gender and development is about recognizing that gender biases impede development. So, what is the example of gender development? Okay, so if a child learns that she is a female and she exists as a female, like playing dolls, playing um, the luto-lutoan, ganon, the child believes that she is a female. If a child is told she is a male, if a child told she is a male and is raised as a male, like playing drum and like toys for boys, the child believes she is a male. Beginning at birth, both parents treat their children according to the appearance of their genitals.
Now let's talk about gender bias. So question, what is gender bias? So gender bias is a behavior that shows favoritism toward one gender over another, and most often, gender bias is the act of favoring men over women and vice versa. Example of gender bias is when a person refers to an individual by their occupation such as doctor or engineer, and it is assumed that that individual is male. Males, however, are not immune from gender bias. For example, uh, teachers, especially those who teach younger age children, are often assumed to be women. So, here are ways to avoid gender bias in the classroom. One, never use gender to group students. Two, model gender balance by what you say and what you do. Three, actively integrate groups by not allowing self-segregation. And four, make the classroom atmosphere wherein both genders are equally encouraged. So, ways to avoid gender bias. We all have gender bias, even if you're a strong believer in a gender equity or self-proclaimed feminist. It lingers in the back of your brain. They are confident that uh, we they treat all their students the same. However, uh, many teachers who analyze their own attitudes and behaviors discover the subtle and pervasive nature of gender inequity in the classroom. So, as written here in the presentation, these are the ways to avoid gender bias.
Importance of gender equality. It prevents violence against all gender. It's essential for economic prosperity, and gender equality is a human right. A society that values gender equality is safer and healthier. So, gender equality is when people of all genders have equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities. Gender equality prevents violence against women and girls, especially girls, young girls. It's essential for economic prosperity. Societies that value women and men are equal are safer and more healthier. Next slide.
Tapos na.
Tapos na. Yay! Start mo na.
Ay.
11 minutes siguro pwede na.
All for attending. We hope you have learned and enjoyed this presentation, and we hope that you gain an insight and knowledge about this so that we can all help promote and establish a gender sensitive and safe learning environment for everyone. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Once again, gender sensitivity, kailangan yun lagi aware tayo sa school, lalo na ngayon, college students tayo, and alam natin kung anong mararamdaman ng mga ibang tao kapag hindi tayo aware sa mga sinasabi natin kahit minsan joke lang yon. Kasi it helps people in examining their personal attitudes and beliefs in questioning the realities of both sexes. So, yun, sana makatulong yung webinar namin sa inyo. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for
much.
listening. Bye.
Bye.